Hi, superheroes. It's Pink Phoenix coming to you from Purdue University's College of Veterinary Medicine for a short reflection on VetaHumanz Live. I have a question for you. Have you ever been asked to do something that was completely unexpected and totally out of your comfort zone? What did you do? I was recently recording an upcoming episode with Moore and Kindness Warrior that I think you're absolutely going to love. And we were talking about this, and this is how the podcast was for me. I had no intention and did not expect to be hosting a podcast. And life gives you gifts, and you have to decide what you're going to do with them. I am completely socially awkward. I'm not good with conversations. I hate how my voice sounds when it's recorded. And frankly, the thought of hosting a podcast terrified me. But I had a job to do. So, what I do, how did I approach it? I first reached out to my coach, my powerlifting coach, Mike Robertson. He runs a hugely successful podcast in the physical preparation industry. In fact, it's called the Physical Preparation Podcast. And I asked him for tips, and we made a plan together. And guess what happened? I absolutely love hosting this podcast. I get to connect with former students, friends, colleagues. I get to meet with new people who are doing these awesome things to change our profession. And it's so inspiring and energizing. Complete surprise. And I have all these side benefits. So I said I'm not really good in social situations. I can talk about the League of VetaHumanz forever. I love this. But outside, just making conversation is challenging for me. But since I've started the podcast, I've had to learn how to do transitions. They're still pretty awkward, I'm sure you've noticed, but I'm getting better. And it's carried over into my personal life. When I'm at a social event, I say, "Hey, what books are you reading? What happened last week? That sounds interesting. Tell me more." So I'm getting much better at keeping up with conversations. The other thing I noticed is I'm an interrupter. I know this about myself. I try really hard not to interrupt, but I get excited when I'm talking with somebody sometimes and I'll interrupt. I edit all my own podcasts. And if I interrupt a guest, editing is pretty tricky. I can't mix it up front. I have to edit each track individually and then bring it back together in a way that matches. So during the podcast, I'm very careful to be attentive and be a good listener when my guests are speaking. And that's also carried over into my real life. I find that I'm a much better listener since I started this podcast. So I want to leave you with this thought. Think about something that you might be absolutely terrified of doing. And what are all the gifts that it can bring you? Some of the things that you won't even realize are gifts until after you've done it. So be a superhero, try something new, and let me know about all the gifts that it brought you. My email address is vetahumans@purdue.edu. I'd love to hear from you. I so appreciate you listening to the show. And as always, use your powers for good.